Hi everybody, we're going to talk about how to create an essay outline. This is a really important first step in creating any really good, nice sounding essay in the end. I'm really stressing the process. First there is the outline, then there are a series of rough copies, then there's the good copy. Never start with just your good copy. So let's take a look at how it all begins. So you're going to be confronted with a question or a statement. In a persuasive essay, you're going to have to pick an opinion and go with it. You guys know I don't like any fence sitting. That is to say that I don't like it when you guys take one side and another side, or be really non-committal with your answer. I want you guys to pick a side and go with it. So let's take a look at a question that you might be asked. Of all the high school teachers in the universe, who deserves to be nominated for the 2015 Supreme Teacher of the Universe Award? Justify your answer fully. This is a very open-ended question. Any number of people can give any number of answers. All you have to do is really justify your answer. You might also be given more of an agree or disagree type of statement. These are very common with persuasive essays. For example, Mrs. White has been nominated for the 2015 Supreme Teacher of the Universe Award. Do you agree or disagree with this nomination? Why or why not? Justify your answer fully. This is very, very directed as to where it wants you to go. Either agree or disagree with the statement that's made. We're going to look at building our introduction first. As you know, our introduction is composed of three basic parts: general statement, a more advanced statement being in the middle, and then of course finishing with our thesis statement. So let's take a look at the generalized first sentence. It's either one or two sentences that extract the essence or the general idea of our essay. Let's take an example. There are many positive teachers on this planet. They teach, they inspire, and they encourage. That's a really great first couple of sentences. It just opens up the idea of what we're going to talk about. Now let's talk about the middle sentence. One or two sentences that bridge the gap between the general first statement and the very last specific statement. Some teachers are recognized for their tireless efforts. One teacher in particular, who hails from Arthur Voden Secondary School, AVSS, in St. Thomas, has been nominated for the most prestigious teaching accolade in this part of the solar system. It moves into something that's much more specific than our first very general statement. So we started with positive teachers, what they do. Now we're moving into a very specific teacher who has yet to be named, but what the accolade might be. Our very last specific thesis statement is exactly what our essay is going to set out to prove to the reader. In this case, Mrs. White is an English teacher at AVSS. She's clearly the most deserving nominee for the 2015 Supreme Teacher of the Universe Award. She's fun, she looks and smells great, and her classes push students to achieve the best they can academically. Very general statement to a more specific statement to a most specific statement. It's very clear the direction of this essay. So let's take a look at main point number one. She's fun. She makes learning fun. That was the very first thing that I had said in my thesis statement after she's a nominee. Now I'm going to talk about all the supporting details that support my main point. My main point supports my thesis. So these are ideas that I've come up with. Well, her lessons and review are games at times. We play grammar games, we played Around the World when we did Shakespeare. We played Teams Games Tournament when we read To Kill a Mockingbird and did exam review. Her class is never boring. We read, we do grammar, we take up work, we learn a new lesson. She gives us personal anecdotes about her life. Sometimes she eats the occasional dead insect, or at least pretends to. She seems to make the 75 minutes go by very quickly. It's very entertaining and it's a lot of fun. And of course, who could forget that she does all the voices in To Kill a Mockingbird, making all of the students very engaged in what she was saying. This is more of a personal, persuasive essay, of course, where I'm not supplementing with hard facts, statistics, and information. In a really academic, persuasive essay, I'm, instead of just using examples that I've pulled out of my own head, I'm going to do research. And these examples are all going to be supplemented, or many of them are going to be supplemented with data, statistics, and research. Let's take a look at main point number 2. She looks and smells great. Well, of course, what could possibly be the supporting details with that? Well, she has quirky t-shirts. The grammar t-shirts, the To Kill a Mockingbird t-shirts, the Shakespeare t-shirts. She really likes to tie her look to the curriculum, and they always seem to be specific to what we're learning in that day. It's quite entertaining. She also has really nice perfume, and it smells really nice, and it really makes for a nice learning environment because it's a very pleasing scent. She dresses and smells like a grandmother, which really gives an overall feeling of comfort and coziness, and it makes a very comfortable learning environment. Now, of course, yes, this essay is a bit of a joke, naturally, but this isn't my strongest argument. Out of all my arguments, it's not my strongest one, so I'm going to tuck it in the middle of my essay. That's where I like to see that weak argument, I'll call it, even though all your arguments should be very, very strong. But of the 3 arguments, this one's going to be my weakest one. Now let's look at main point number 3. This is my strongest argument, and you can see that there's a lot written here. Main point number 3 is that she pushes her students to achieve their best academically. How are my supporting details going to support that main point? Well, she sits down with her students to go over their work, to correct it. She conferences with them. Students can then determine how to correct it and not make the same errors. She allows all of her students extra time to complete assignments, and she's very sensitive to all of the reasons that things might not get done at home. Different students have different needs and different issues that they're tackling, and she's very sensitive to that. She's always available to talk to students outside of class. So even though we only have her from 8:30 till 9:45 every day, the fact that she is our teacher doesn't stop at 9:45. She's always there for us, and we can always ask her questions, and we know that. She maintains that all of us as students are in control of our own learning, our own successes, and our own failure, and she makes us accountable. She treats us like we're adults, and she allows us to grow personally and academically. She's really trying hard to prepare us for that adult world, and certainly that world of post-secondary education that we all hope to get to. She makes us realize that it's not about the content in English class either. She realizes that learning how to use semicolons appropriately would be really nice if we remembered it, but it's not going to make or break us as adults in our adult life. What she wants to do is really engage her students and find something for them that they will want to learn about on their own. This is the benefit of being a lifelong learner, and she's really keen on that. So notice that all of my points here, and there are a lot, all go back to point Number 3, how she pushes her students to achieve their best. And ultimately, this point's going to support why she needs to be a nominee for the best teacher in the universe. Now let's look at building the conclusion. It's the shortest part of the essay. I think it's the most difficult part of the essay at times. And here's why. Well, it's got 2 main points. Restating that thesis statement and finishing with something memorable. We need to leave our reader with something to think about. So when we used to just restate our thesis statement here, we used to literally regurgitate what we had put in our introduction. I don't want you to do that anymore. I want you to restate your thesis, but rework it a little bit so you can paraphrase it. Maybe take out the specifics. That might be a good idea. Here's an example of how you can do that. It's evident that Mrs. White clearly deserves the nomination for 2015 Supreme Teacher of the Universe Award because of her many positive attributes as a classroom teacher. So yes, of course, this just kind of paraphrases all that we have said. I like to finish my essays with a memorable, relevant quotation from somebody famous is definitely most helpful. As Winston Churchill once said, "I never knew a better teacher than Mrs. White from AVSS. Her kindness, warmth, and love of her profession helped to make me the world leader I became." Of course, I would finish with a citation if I'm taking a quote from someplace.